If I said I was going to talk about a 20th century male writer of detective fiction, most people would think it was going to be about Hammett or Chandler, possibly a MacDonald or Tony Hillerman, maybe Elmore Leonard. Not today, none of these. I want to talk about Mickey Spillane. I was given 2 books by Louis L'Amour, and while I was reading them, I was thinking about how many books he wrote and how many more he sold, and Mickey Spillane came to mind. I'd be surprised if people were reading Mickey Spillane these days. I'd be surprised if they knew who he was. But in his day, Mickey moved a lot of product. If memory serves, Mickey was in a few Miller Lite beer ads, back when Miller was using eccentric celebrities to sell their suds. Mickey wrote a lot of books. He churned them out and he sold them in the millions. And the books were almost exactly the same, stuffed with gawking sex and raucous violence, and featuring his hero. The moniker is Mike Hammer, kid. I'm a private eye. I do not think the critics thought that much about Mickey's work, if they bothered to review it at all. I can't see that bothering him in the least. He knew his audience, and they made him rich, several times over, and like his rough-shod detective, Mickey would be pleased as punch to tell the critics where, exactly, they could file their objections. And as he went on, his growth as a writer consisted in doubling down on the sex and shooting, a winning combination. The busty babes on his covers sold the books. I went back to the beginning of Mickey's work. I, the Jury. I'd read a few of his books long ago, never taking them seriously, but this time I wanted to make a more careful reading. The book is concerned 100% with the central figure, Mike Hammer. He is either the agent of the action or the filter for everything else that swirls around him. To say that Mike Hammer is dated is a huge understatement, about as silly as saying that he is politically incorrect. Mike would brush you off as an obvious pansy if you called him that. I think that Mike was a fantasy figure even when he was newly hatched. He was a war vet trying to make his way in a world where the war was over, but the fighting was going on. And he's an army of one. Mike is a true Neanderthal, and that's his attraction. Hard is the word for him. He's a hard hater, a hard drinker, a hard-nosed, hard man with a big rod. There are plenty of rats in the world, and Mike's there to eliminate them. He wipes them out, and he's not choosy about how he does it. The cops have to go by the book. Mike plays it straight and hard. Today's tolerant world would have no place for him. All of the women in the book are gorgeous dames, and all of them are crazy about Mike. Mickey describes them the way John Muir used to go on about Yellowstone. He likes legs and smooth skin, and he's a big fan of breasts. Women's breasts almost have a life of their own. They're always jutting and straining and working against the pitiful fabric that seeks to restrain them. It isn't long before these beautiful dolls are out of their clothes and melting in Mike's arms. There is some humor in the book. Mike has a tailor who is upset with the tears and bullet holes in his suits. Also, there is Mike's buddy-boy relationship with his cop pal, Pat. The end of the book is an absolute classic. The book jacket says they made a movie out of I, the Jury, but I can't believe they got this scene on film. It's an opera, not a movie. There are a lot of murders in the book, and the first one was an old army buddy of Mike's, a guy who literally gave his arm to save him. So Mike swears revenge, as the title indicates. At the climax, the killer is revealed, as only Mickey could reveal her. She is a beautiful, highly intelligent woman, a doctor, a psychiatrist, whom Mike was going to marry. As plots go, this one was as transparent as the undergarments she's wearing. It had to be her for several reasons, the most pressing being that Mike can't get hitched. What happens is this. Over several pages, Mike recounts her dastardly plan, while she, in parentheses and italics, performs a silent, seductive striptease. Dr. Freud would turn in his pipe and start selling hats, if he read this. When he's done with his summary and she's down to nothing but her natural allure, Mike shoots her and leaves her dying on the floor. "How could you?" she asks. "It was easy," he says. Exactly. And as you come up, still dizzy from reading that, and take a look at the day's headlines, you wonder, "Mike Hammer, what happened? Where the hell did you go?"